Humans, like any other animal, require food to live. And just like other animals, we have sharp incisors to cut food, long canines to tear meat, and molars to chew and grind for our consumption. Food certainly isn't unique to humans, nor is eating it. But what is singularly unique to human behavior is the act of cooking. In his book, Catching Fire: How Cooking Made Us Human, primatologist Richard Wrangham states that the transformative moment that gave rise to the genus Homo, one of the great transitions in the history of life, stemmed from the control of fire and the advent of cooked meals. Not only are meals uniquely human, but the act of cooking for someone else is one of the most intimate things you could do. Food connects us all. We understand food, no matter what it means to you. And it can mean anything. Nobody understands this better than a skilled filmmaker, someone who knows just what meal to use to make you feel. Filmmakers use the inherently human desire for a home-cooked meal to connect with characters and with audiences.
Delicious. Delicious.
Thank you.
We can connect through memories, like when a food critic tries a meal so good, he forgets what he's doing and is transported back to his childhood. This scene from Ratatouille is literally a mirror being held up to Ego. He tries the ratatouille, anticipating a negative review, but when he takes a bite, we are literally transported back in time. Food can also be associated with negative memories as well. In the case of A Ghost Story, it is associated with isolation and loss. M, played by Rooney Mara, eats an entire chocolate pie, teary-eyed, as her recently dead boyfriend watches on in the background. Not to mention all the other things pie can represent in a film. Food can stand for more than a memory or a feeling. It can be much more tangible than that, even occurring in real time.
Let the feast begin.
Eating is intimate if you do it with other people. That is why we go on dates after all.
Oh, God.
When we eat with family, we feel the camaraderie, and we connect closer with each other.
Why didn't you tell our daughter about it, honey?
Janie, today I quit my job. And then I told my boss to go fuck himself, and then I blackmailed him for almost $60,000. Pass the asparagus.
Your father's...
It reveals what kind of person we are.
Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in tipping?
And how we feel about each other. The dinner table is where we grow closer.
Well, I suppose that would be a fine place to raise the children.
Make new friends.
Anything off the trolley, dears?
No thanks. I'm all set.
And learn new things about each other.
We'll take the lot. Whoa.
In this scene, Shrek tries his best to fit in with his new wife's family's traditions.
Great soup, Mrs. Q.
We learn that Shrek is putting forth an effort, while Fiona's family are intolerant and judgmental. The dinner table represents the divide in social status between Shrek and the people of Far, Far Away, much in the same way that John Hughes characterized the cast in The Breakfast Club. When our titular characters finally arrive at lunchtime, Claire pulls out a sushi roll, a luxury of her coming from a rich family. Allison slurps Coca-Cola out of the top of her can and pours pixie sticks onto her food. Andrew, the meathead, pulls out sandwich after sandwich. He needs the sustenance for his workout later. Brian has a perfectly balanced lunch.
Well, Brian, this is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
And Bender, the misunderstood bully, has no lunch, a symptom of his home life.
Where's your lunch?
You're wearing it.
We can also flip this kind of characterization on its head. What if our social elites were the ones serving questionable food?
Sneak. Surprise.
What's the surprise?
It illustrates that we are not in a world that we are used to, where the social elites should be serving tea and crumpets. They serve eyeball soup and...
chilled monkey brains.
If our villains are the ones with the delicious-looking food, we are confused by them. We watch as the Jew hunter stuffs his face, indulgent in his power and wealth, too delicious to let go of. Intense close-ups of a flaky pastry makes us desire it. His nonchalant way of eating while discussing Nazi events makes us believe that he is one step ahead of us, impossible to stop. If food can represent evil, then it can surely represent the most fun of the 7 deadly sins, gluttony.
Merci.
What better way to exemplify gluttony than the king of candy himself, Willy Wonka? The first time we see Augustus Gloop, he shovels food into his mouth, chewing through his answers for the interview. He shows disregard for others so long as he gets his candy.
Any other feelings?
I feel sorry for Wonka. It's gonna cost him a fortune in fudge.
And then he gets killed by a chocolate river. We see other deadly sins play out through food all throughout cinema as well.
Come, sing me a song.
Denethor, king of Rohan, is consumed so much by his pride, he would rather send his last living son to die in a battle to retake a lost fort than to admit he was wrong to outcast his son his whole life. We watch on hopelessly as Faramir rides to his death, and we cross-cut to see his father, indulging in song and food as berry juices stream down his face. The sound of his lips smacking as he chews with his mouth open, and the berries exploding between his teeth, makes our stomachs turn, the same way Faramir must feel, riding into certain doom. Humankind represents civilization, and cooked food represents civility. The way we treat each other and the way we behave. Take, for example, the rats in Ratatouille. They shame Remy for his obsession with food. They eat garbage and are completely content with it. To Remy's dad,
food is fuel. You get picky about what you put in the tank, your engine is gonna die. Now shut up and eat your garbage.
Remy strives for more. He wants to cook. When he discovers food, he begins to walk on two legs. He cares for his hygiene, and he teaches himself to read. A rat literally becomes civilized because of good cooking.
Handling fish, Team 4, roasted items, Team 5, grill, Team 6, sausage. Get to your stations, let's go, go, go!
Just as much as food can show us how to be civilized, it can also be uncivilized. What happens when we are pushed to our extremes? What food will we choose when there is none left?
It's been a long time since any of us have eaten. And you three gentlemen look delicious.
When our mind is warped by an extremely powerful magic, what will we become? Smeagol was a hobbit before he found the Ring of Power. Hobbits are simple folk who just want to drink their mead, smoke their pipe weed, and eat whatever their jolly stomachs can handle.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Peter Jackson shows us this in The Fellowship of the Ring, and when we revisit Hobbit life in the prologue to Return of the King, we are familiar with how a hobbit should behave, which does not match up with how Gollum acts. Peter Jackson uses food and how it is eaten to distinguish between the civility of hobbits and Gollum. The human passion for good food is a universal language that anyone can understand. Filmmakers have been able to harness the intimate feeling that food creates to use it to help us connect to characters, situations, and themes. Whether it be a rat learning to cook, a Thanksgiving feast for a dysfunctional family, or bloodthirsty orcs fighting over meat.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
We all connect to food, and in turn, with each other. Don't take what you eat for granted. Cook a meal for a loved one. Learn a new recipe. Because after all,
anyone can cook.
You got that thing, you got that thing, the thing that makes birds forget to sing. Yes, you got that thing, that certain thing. You got that charm, that subtle charm that makes young